This is ACMi News, recognized nationwide as the first place winner of the 2022 Hometown Media Award for News Access.
Many residents turned out to thank those who put their lives on the line in the name of freedom. We'll take you to Veterans Day 2022 in Arlington. The holiday shopping season has begun as scores of shoppers headed for Arlington's Open Studios 2022. And man, did they rush home with some treasures. And the New England Patriots are among the premier teams in the NFL, but their immortal dynasty didn't start out that way. No, the Pats' early years consisted of a miserly owner, insurmountable traffic jams, and clogged toilets. A far cry from the juggernaut this team has become, the Foxboro Follies has to be seen to be believed. ACMi News is next.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the 2022 nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
A Marine Corps veteran who owns an Arlington insurance agency will be going to prison for a year and a day, followed by a year of supervised release. Hi, I'm Elise Hill.
And I'm Sashi Mascara. Thanks for joining us. Prosecutors say that Patrick Quinn garnished his income to the tune of nearly $400,000 using Veterans Affairs and Social Security disability benefits.
You'll recall a federal jury in Boston convicted Quinn of theft of public funds and making false statements. U.S. District Court Judge Richard Stearns sentenced Quinn on November the 8th.
Court documents show Quinn already paid nearly $282,000 in restitution to the Social Security Administration and is ordered to pay nearly $100,000 to the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Prosecutors say while receiving VA benefits, Quinn continued to tell the agency that he was unemployed despite owning his own business.
Arlington gathered to pay tribute to our veterans and their families for their service to our nation. All veterans were invited to join the traditional march from Walgreens to the Central Fire Station on November the 11th.
Veterans Day events kick off at 11 a.m. to recognize the armistice that ended World War I. It was signed on the 11th month, on the 11th day, at the 11th hour.
Here's ACMi News Director Jeff Bond.
Several Arlington veterans were joined by town and state leaders as the march began at 324 Massachusetts Avenue, down Arlington's main venue flanked by a police escort, and finally to the Central Fire Station. This event began at 11 o'clock a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month, recognizing the armistice, the formal agreement marking the official end of World War I 104 years ago.
It's nice to have or offer some reflection on service, veterans, what they brought to the nation, the honor and respect. So it was a great day, and I was very pleased to see all of the younger families and children here. That was amazing. And we had a Girl Scout troop lead the way in the parade, and it was great.
It's a time of reflection, a time to honor, and to say thank you for a debt that cannot even begin to be repaid.
You know, you're committed to them for 24 hours a day, whatever they want you to do. You just do it. You don't hesitate. We're just happy to be able to do something because the freedoms that we have, it's unbelievable. You got to go to another country and spend some time in another country, whether you're at war at time, or just to see how they live. I mean, the freedom that we have, it's not taken for granted. And the reason for it is so we have a show of strength, not weakness.
After a very divisive election season, it's very comforting to have a day like Veterans Day. It's a time for all Arlingtonians and all Americans to get together and thank a veteran for everything they've done to enrich all of our lives. There's an old maxim handed down through the ages that best applies to today. Some people go through their entire lives wondering whether they ever made a difference in this world. A veteran doesn't have that problem.
To have men and women put their lives on hold for everything, or their family lives on hold when Guard and Reserve are deployed. It's a big sacrifice. So we owe everyone a big thank you.
You know, we as civilians, we need to recommit ourselves to finding ways to what it really means to say thank you. And certainly saying thank you, flying an American flag, the green light bulb is critically important. But we have to make sure to find ways to really say thank you. And over the last couple of years, we've seen mental health needs that go unaddressed because suicide among veterans is higher than it's ever been. Homeless rates among veterans is higher than it's ever been, and unemployment is ticking up among our veterans community. So those are three tangible things that are, I think, more valuable than saying thank you, because it's going to improve the quality of life for veterans, not only in Arlington, but across the Commonwealth, but across the country as well.
In 1954, President Eisenhower established Veterans Day as a holiday to remember the sacrifices of all those who fought so valiantly on the seas, in the air, and on foreign soil to preserve our heritage of freedom. This is just a small gesture to honor those who served and their families, recognizing their sacrifice, their suffering, and their service. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
Just after this event, Select Board Chair Len Diggins partnered with FoodLink, Minuteman Votech High School, and Arlington Veteran Services to cater a free lunch for local veterans at the Arlington Community Center.
In a related story, Arlington's Veterans Memorial Park could be getting a much-needed upgrade in the future. This after the Select Board gave Director of Veteran Services Jeff Chunglo the green light to pursue funding for the $2.6 million project seen here. The board on November 7th gave Chunglo the nod to seek funds from the town, such as the Capital Planning and the Community Preservation Act committees, and to apply for grants. Proposed renovations include a reflective park area, bench seating for 30 people, and a permanent honor roll, which can be updated annually.
You know, this all started a number of years ago. We were looking at alternative spots in town. We had a number of different locations that we were looking at. We went and met with different groups, the veteran groups, public groups, and the consensus was that they wanted it in the center of town, which is great.
This is certainly long overdue. It's as far back as I can remember, and I think many people older than me will say they can remember that the Veterans Park has looked the same, and we can tell that it's looked the same for a long time as you walk through it. It's not just for the events that we have there, just people walk through Veterans Park, walk through there to go to Starbucks, and it's tough to traverse. There's the dreaded brick sidewalks that we've been trying to replace across the center, but more than anything, to have really inviting location to serve our veterans and to honor our veterans is really important. I think that monument was supposed to sit there for only a couple of years, and now it's been 23 years since.
And just to point out, it's lacking 12,000 names.
Right.
I really like creating intentional community space in a place that centers our veterans. You know, I think that that'll be a really nice focal point for the community to enjoy, but also to remember at the same time.
The park currently has insufficient seating, uneven walking surfaces, poor site drainage, and insufficient utilities. Jeff Chunglo says the honor roll is outdated and has structural issues, including the need for cleaning and the reapplication of gold leafing. Also, some trees and shrubs are in poor condition. The town intends to plant trees and shrubs that will not be affected by drought, major storms, or harsh winter conditions.
Arlington's Department of Health and Human Services is trying everything in its power to make the holidays a happy ones for those less fortunate. The Holiday Help Program is a volunteer-managed project that assists low-income Arlington families by purchasing gifts for their children during the holiday season. Families are referred for support by school and community partners. Any family with school-age children or younger may apply for holiday help, regardless of religious affiliation or beliefs. ACMi's communications manager, James Milan, talks to town manager Sandy Pooler about this year's efforts.
The Holiday Help Program is where we've provided over the years, over 40 years, frankly, gifts or funds to families so that their kids can get gifts during the holiday season. I want to send out a big shout out to Patsy Kramer, who has run this program for 40 years. She is stepping down from it and is handing it over to our AYCC department that will continue to do this. It is, as I say, a non-denominational gift program. Donations may be made to the Arlington Health and Human Services Charitable Corp at ahhscc.org. We are asking for monetary donations, and what we will then do is give out basically gift cards to these families by Thanksgiving so they can start some of their holiday shopping and their kids can get the things that they need. So I think an important event, something that we've done for a long time, and I'm looking forward to AYCC's taking it over and helping out families here in Arlington.
Again, to make this season a little brighter for some area folks and support the program, click on ahhscc.org. That's ahhscc.org.
If you see any Arlington police officers looking scruffy in the next few weeks, their Gillette razors have the rest of this month off. It's all part of the No Shave November to support the fight against cancer by raising awareness and funds for cancer research. With Chief Julie Flaherty's blessing, members of the department may forego facial hair restrictions this month by donating or raising $100. Arlington's PD has supported the No Shave November initiative to honor retired Lieutenant Dan Kelly, who fought cancer for several years. Kelly passed away at the age of 58 in May.
Probably this is the fourth year that the members of the unions have got involved in this. It's a nice story. So each year the chief waives the uniforms and appearance policy and allows some face hair, and members of the Patrolmen's Association, the Rankin Association, they contribute, they donate $100 each for each month that we're involved in this, and we also put that out and they raise a little bit more charity money that way wise. And the money this year I think is going to Mass General Hospital Cancer Center. And it's a very successful little program. It's nice. It's a way to give back a little bit, do the right thing.
Any bets on who's going to look like Grizzly Adams in about 2-3 weeks?
I know it's not going to be me. I'll be glad to contribute, but I just can't do it. No, they do a great job, and some like it. Some like to wear that during the winter and whatnot, and it serves a couple of different purposes. It's great, and any money that's raised for good charities is always a good thing. Like I said, this is the fourth year. I think the goal this year is $5,000. I think they've already eclipsed $3,000, so they're well on their way, and they've done very well in the past. Back in 2020, they raised almost $15,000, I think, and in 2021, a little over $7,000. So a good program, doing good things.
You could donate to the Arlington Police Department's No Shave fundraiser for 2022. Once again, just click giving.massgeneral.org. Again, that's giving.massgeneral.org.
The weather was perfect for doing your holiday shopping last weekend and decorating your holiday tree. Arlington's Open Studios was jam-packed with artists and fine crafters at the community center, both floors at the town hall and the Robbins Library. Sponsored by Arlington Center for the Arts, you could find everything here, from ceramics, paintings, glasswork, textiles, jewelry, and so much more.
We have almost 100 artists here today. It's the biggest Arlington Open Studios event ever. Thanks very much to my colleagues Annalise Ruggles and Pam Shanley, who really were the driving force behind this event. And then, of course, all the artists who showed up today. There's something for everybody. There's anime, there's fiber arts, there's painting, there's drawing, there's ceramics, there's jewelry. You can outfit your Christmas tree today if you have one. You can buy a menorah today. Really, there's a lot here.
But the reason I do this is that this is a tangible part of photography, and it helps me stay connected with nature. I use botanicals. The process involves exposing these prints in sunlight, washing them with water, which is how you get the blue and white print. So the process itself is personal to me, and it's all limited edition things, so they have meaning to them.
So this year, myself and my mom and my friend Shelly here, we've been busy making these seashells. So my stepdad has the restaurant in Cambridge, and so as everyone eats their oysters, we've been recycling them and turning them into art projects. So ring dishes and ornaments, and we decoupage, and every Wednesday we spend our craft night in Arlington making all of these ready for Christmas.
That is so cool. So you go out and you eat oysters, which are delicious, and then you save the shells and then resell them. Does the restaurant get any percentage, or is this just totally creative?
Just totally creative. He's just lucky to have us.
We've really packed them in this year, and the crowd started coming early, which is always really exciting.
You know what? It's bad for the shoppers, but once you park, you're good. But parking it's like going to Fenway, for God's sakes. But that's a good sign.
Yes, it is. People are excited about this event, and people are making a point of coming early, which is also really nice, because that means that people are really anticipating.
One couldn't help but get into the holiday spirit with all this creativity. Congratulations to Tom Formicola and the ACA, and of course, all the artisans this year. ACMi News is now part of a permanent exhibit at the UMass Amherst campus for its coverage of Upton Bell, a man who lived, loved, and breathed football for more than half a century. But few people knew about one of Upton's low points in life.
That would be taking over general manager's job for the then Boston Patriots more than 50 years ago. The Pats were nowhere near the stuff of NFL legend back then.
In fact, between near-death press conferences, cheerleaders in hula skirts, clogged traffic, and clogged toilets, Upton Bell inherited what you may call follies of Foxboro.
February 1969. The 4-10 Boston Patriots went from hapless to hellish. A fresh infusion of managers could not come soon enough. A Patriots news conference was hastily announced, where the Pats' brand new head coach, Cleve Rush, would welcome another new hire, general manager George Sauer. Rush grabbed the microphone to make some opening remarks. Then, all hell broke loose. Rush could not let go of the microphone. He screamed and stammered toward the corner of the conference room, facing certain electrocution before horrified reporters.
And if somebody hadn't pulled the plug out of the wall, they would have had a coach DOA on delivery. True story. That was the first thing.
The second thing was that despite Rush's survival, nothing improved for the Rush-Sauer duo in '69. The Pats lost the first 7 games of another ghastly season. Both men would skip town within months. Team president Billy Sullivan desperately resolved to look for a leader who could finally eradicate this unceasing curse. (1971), the Baltimore Colts won Super Bowl V, an offensive steamroller of a team with a rabidly loyal blue-collar fan base. The Colts' young personnel director, 32-year-old Upton Bell, hailed from football royalty. His father, Bert Bell, ruled the National Football League as its commissioner for 13 years and navigated 12 teams through some very dark days, saving the NFL from self-destructing more times than the football faithful ever knew. Sullivan, a former PR virtuoso who headed an unruly band of investors, immediately offered Upton Bell the job of Patriots general manager at $45,000 a year.
Well, I made it with a lot of shock therapy.
At his welcoming news conference in Boston, Bell, unaware of the near-death scare years before, was told not to touch the mic. He then told the room of skeptical reporters that the Patriots team would be entirely rebuilt into a winner.
Somebody, the first writer, at that time, the Patriots weren't considered big. The New York Football Giants were still it here, and the Boston Herald had a full-time writer covering the Giants, not the Patriots. So he raised his hand and he said, "Mr. Bell, why would anybody who came from a great organization ever want to come here?" That was my first question. From then on in, it was semi-downhill. Essentially, I mean, there were so many factions here. There were 4 or 5 major owners, and there was a board of directors. And actually, I had finally gotten a phone at home and gave my number to all of them. But when it rang, I never picked it up. So I would avoid all of the cross-fighting and all of the problems. And Billy Sullivan and I didn't get along at all. In the end, it was a fight over wanting to get rid of the coach, but a bigger fight in that Sullivan didn't like all the publicity I was getting. I was just trying to build a championship team, and we sold the stadium out. We were doing well.
Selling stadiums out. The Boston Patriots were essentially homeless, laughable vagabonds of the NFL. Tickets were made for Patriots home games at Boston University's Nickerson Field, Boston College's Alumni Stadium, Fenway Park on Yawkey Way, and Harvard Stadium.
They turn for home. Windsock, Missile, and Jack Supat battling for the lead.
Hope for the Patriots' permanent dream home finally came from the owners of a harness racing track 30 miles south of Boston in the sleepy town of Foxboro. They donated the acreage to Billy Sullivan in order to keep the team in New England. Construction for the new stadium was already underway. Sullivan, desperate to keep things under budget, cut corners everywhere he could. His low-cost approach would soon come back to haunt him. He did, however, find a company willing to pay $150,000 to give the stadium its name.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
More than one, of course, is a prime diuretic. And here's where Sullivan's miserly gambit flunked.
We're now opening a new stadium in Foxboro, put together with stringing wire. The toilets and the plumbing didn't work because where the stadium is built, the water can't run uphill. So they call the owners, there's about 10 of them, and myself, and we go out on a Saturday. NFL Films that happened to be there because they wanted to, shoot for the game. Here we are. And so they get on the loudspeaker system and they go, 1, 2, 3, flush. And everybody flushes at the same time, and the toilets work, at least for the time being. They hadn't figured that if you're going to have 30,000 cars coming down a slim Route 1, that you could have a traffic jam. It ended up being the largest traffic jam in Massachusetts history. There are still cars out there.
Between the congested traffic, clogged toilets, and a malodorous 6-8 Patriots season,
The Patriots and moves into the end zone for a touchdown. His best play of the season made it Buffalo 21, the Patriots 14.
Sullivan had had it. So had Bell. After 2 years as the Patriots' general manager, Upton Bell was fired.
But one thing you learned in life, they're owners and they're renters. I was a renter. And you're always going to be in the NFL today. If you don't own a team, you are a renter. The renter got thrown out of his apartment by Sullivan. That's the bottom line.
But not before Upton Bell left an everlasting hallmark. They were first known as the Boston Patriots, then the Bay State Patriots.
Somebody like Bud Collins or somebody else said, of course they could be called the BS Patriots. And when I saw that, they were also making fun of Sullivan because he was BS, Billy Sullivan. I immediately, that week, got in touch with all the owners and I said, listen, we're moving to Foxboro. We're going to be in the middle of New England between Providence and Boston. I propose let's name them the New England Patriots. It's one of the few things I got pushed through. They agreed with it, and that's why they're called that today.
Today, the ticket machines need no more calibration. And a team name change is highly unlikely. That's no BS.
A lot of people, Dan Shaughnessy knows it, few other people know it, but they don't know that I did name the team the New England Patriots. I got my pound of flesh.
For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
The report you just saw is one of the many in Upton's new permanent exhibit, The Huddle of Football History at UMass Amherst.
And ACMi News is proud to be a part of the incredible story of a local football legend.
That will do it for this week's edition of ACMi News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sachi Muscara.
And I'm Eliseo Vigil. Have a great week, everyone. We will see you next week, Thanksgiving Day week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.